Alright, so this should be all you need to know about today's video. Plan on catching some fish we could take home and cook up. I'm going to string this to my cleat. Anything that we catch that's edible, we're going to keep and do a fish fry with. Alright man, so I am a sucker for panfish, so we're going to be fishing some fish bites. Keep that there, so throw that out when we get home. All I'm doing is I gotta make sure I do this efficiently because fish bites are no good when they're wet. So I'm gonna try and keep them in the back of the kayak. I'm gonna cut pieces just big enough to fit on the hook. Anything bigger, they typically rip it off. Let me actually seal that up before it gets any water. Throw that in the crate. And I'm just going to thread it through once. They are pretty good baits to keep on a hook. The mesh liner that's between them is kind of like a double-edged sword. It's great because it keeps it on the hook, but it's also a pain the neck when you have to take it off when the bait eventually wears down. But I got a 1 ounce sinker on, and all I'm going to be doing is just dropping it down. There's definitely some saltwater panfish around, croaker, spot. To me, they're pretty good eating if you get them big enough. I'm not going to keep anything today that's under 12 inches because it could be a long day of filleting. Ooh, look at that. Come on, come back. There he is. Right species, wrong size. Like I said, we ain't going to keep anything that small. Problem when you get that size, they're great for bait. I mean, absolutely, hands down one of the best baits in the fall in my opinion for stripers if you're gonna fish live bait. But that size have so many little pin bones. Not that the bigger ones don't, but they're a little bit easier to get out of the bigger fish. Ooh, some fish under us right now. Taps. There we go. There we go. That feels like a better one. Could that be? Oh yeah, a little better. I don't know if I'd call that a eating size though. Yeah, we're gonna wait for a bigger one. I'm seeing way too many marks right under us right now for me to want to not stop. They do get schooled up, but this time of year, man, when they're feeding like they're feeding, you don't gotta go very far. They seem to like fill all the little areas around me. Look at that. Oh, son. Man, he's just a little too small. That is a good bait size one. Now I did come here a week ago and loaded up on a bunch for the fall for bait, so that's why I'm not keeping these smaller ones right now. There's a fish. Little man, hair under what I'm looking for. There's a fish. Tell you what, man, it is fun, especially on lighter tackle. Man, they're all about cookie cutter size. Just to give you kind of an idea of what I'm talking about. 10 inches. 2 inches off what I want to keep. Ooh, that was a better hit. That was a better hit. Was the deeper word of the ticket? I don't know. Still think he's a little under. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna let him go. Here's a fish. Maybe the deeper water was the ticket. The fish aren't much bigger, but they are bigger. Sorry, buddy. I'm gonna need that back. He's literally got the bait on the roof of his mouth. He can keep it. So one of the questions that most people would probably ask is, what type of fish bites are you using? And is there a difference in the color and I guess technical flavors? My opinion, I don't think color and flavor matter. I've used the sand flea, I've used shrimp, I've used bloodworm. They all work pretty well. I think it's more of a personal preference when it comes to color, but I don't think for these fish right now it matters. I don't think there's a certain color outfishing others. I think if I were to drop a hook down with like any type of lure, I'd probably catch them just as much as I am now. The reason I'm going this route is it's a little bit more of an effective style of fishing. Double hook, double chance, bait that really doesn't get ripped off easily. So, oh, man. They are fun, man. They are a fun panfish to catch. He's a little on the lean side. We'll let him go. Now, the only reason I didn't bring an anchor from a kayak perspective, when you have as much current as we see today, anchoring can be dangerous, man. Personally, it's probably safer to just drift fish like we are from a kayak than it is to anchor in that much current. You know, you can, especially when you're putting all that pressure on the cleat on the bow. I've, you know, heard horror stories of guys flipping in like the Delaware Bay and, you know, other areas that have pretty equal current to what we're fishing. I'd rather go the safe route than, I know it's a little bit easier on the legs. Oh, missed it. I know it's actually a lot easier on the legs than what we're doing, but I didn't work out this morning, so I guess we'll consider this partially our workout. Ooh, man, that was quick. Little guy. Just, man, the number of 10-inch fish we've caught today. They're lucky. Problem, man, especially a 10-inch fish, it's really got to be chunky. Like if I catch a 10-inch white perch that usually has a little bit more meat on it than a croaker does, a lot of these ones we're catching, man, are pretty lean. Like, we haven't seen any Cape May specials yet. And usually in my, you know, previous fishing experience for these guys, the you know, the Cape May specials, like the big ones that people are, you know, sought after, don't really show up till the fall, at least where we live. But go figure, the day I came out here to catch some for bait, I caught a couple bruisers, man, like 4 or 5 that were definitely eating size. Go figure, the day that I come out to catch them for food, I catch all the bait-sized ones. That's just how things usually go for fishing. If I go to Target Sheepshead, I catch stripers. If I go to, you know, Target stripers, I catch something else. Just kind of how I feel like fishing goes. Oh, that one actually I was gonna keep, but I guess he's just a fishing story now. Usually don't really have to wait too long when I'm drifting like this. I am getting these little taps, and the nice thing I will say about the fish bites is I have the luxury of not setting the hook on some of these hits. If you're fishing bait, you almost have to set on everything you feel, just because if you don't, you're probably gonna lose the bait. But like that, I just had a decent hit after about a bunch of little hits. It's actually, this one fish might be a keeper. Hey, a little bigger. I'll tell you what, these guys actually make really excellent shark bait as well. If you're into shark fishing, them, kingfish. Figure there's 3 of us, my wife, my daughter, and myself. So I'm probably aiming to catch and keep, I'd guess, 10 fish. 10 fish is 20 fillets, you know, like that size fillet that I could bread and fry up. I really don't like to keep more than what I need, only for the fact that I am very fortunate where I live, man. There are species that I could target year round. So if I want fresh fish, you know, winter time's usually the biggest struggle, but even then, white perch are still around. I don't know, I've never been a firm believer of keeping frozen fish. Frozen fish to me just don't taste as good. I know I probably sound like a snob saying that, but you have the option of fresh and frozen. I think most people would pick fresh. And this guy swallowed it, so he wasn't gonna make it, so we're gonna keep him. Now, what is also really nice about this fishing, it's very cost effective. A rig, if you don't feel like tying one yourself, costs about $2.99. The fish bites I buy at Walmart, they're about $5.44 a pack, and depending on how often you use them, you can pretty much get years out of them. Some of the packs that I just was using this season, I bought 5-6 years ago, and if you keep it dry, that's the biggest thing. Keeping it dry, it'll last a decent amount of time, especially if you're, you know, conservative about how you use them. And you know, 1 ounce sinker don't cost that much to have a good time. And this is like the dog days of summer, man, when, you know, catching a keeper flounder in the back bay could be a real struggle with all the smaller fish around. At least with this type of fishing, you know, I know I'm going home with something, and you know, we're selectively harvesting, you know, fish that we think we could get a meal out of. I don't have to keep everything I catch, but I've been lucky. Ever since I moved into the deeper water, I have started to find slightly bigger ones. There he is. This is one fish, it might not be a bad one. Yeah. And that one, look at how full that one's stomach is. That one definitely been gorging. What I think a lot of these guys do, they push in and they feed. Now what's funny, he's short and thick. We're gonna let him go though, because that's like the rib cage part of the meat, and there's not much there. When you fillet them, you're really only getting like this portion of the meat. But what I think they're feeding on is all the mussels that grow in the back bays here. Little guy. Back to the little guys. Alright, this will probably be my last go. I got enough for a small fish fry for my family. And while I'm out here, I kind of want to do a little bit more different fishing while I got the time, which stinks because, man, this shore is fun and they are plentiful. At the end of the day, one more fish to take home. Nah, maybe not. How the heck? Nah, he's a little small. He's gonna be the lucky one, but we got ourselves, let me get this, just enough for a quick meal.